So by far the biggest organization in South Africa, the biggest employer of people in South Africa is the South African government. It employs literally millions of people. It's in fact over-employs people. We all know about that. We all know about ghost workers. We know about Transnet and Eskom, and these workers are measured in the tens of thousands. Now, can you imagine running an organization that big and you don't have IT systems that work for you? Can you imagine the smallest business, the smallest mom and pop shop has got computer systems that help it do everything? But the South African government is languishing behind on IT. And that's all because we have a ridiculous act called the SITA Act. Now, no, this is not to be confused with the SITAs that are stealing money through the state. Those are SETAs. This is SITA. It's the State Information Technology Agency. And according to this act, there's only one source of IT procurement and management, and that is SITA. So in other words, if you need a new computer, you have to go through one agency centrally in the country. They do everything. If a new government department is set up, if our president decides to start yet another ministry, they have to go to SITA to get their computers and to get any software that they would need. And needless to say, SITA is run by the state and it's pretty useless. And not only is that, it's a monopoly, and it's become a rent-seeking monopoly. Now, we know that according to a study done by the Free Market Foundation, BEE has cost South Africa over R1 trillion, and this is where a lot of that money goes to waste. Because when you have a state-run monopoly, these guys will not, it's not in their interest to get the best deal. Why should they? They want the best deal for them. And sometimes if you've got to get software from software seller A or software seller B, you might just go to the guy who's going to, stump up the best holiday for you and your family. And that's just sort of being nice about it. And in many cases, when ministries and organizations within government, they know exactly what software they need. I mean, it's an absolute disgrace that in South Africa, we've got one old machine to print driver's license. One machine. When it breaks down, we need to go and get it fixed. We have to send it to Germany to get it back. Now, that can only come from government procurement. Can you imagine any system that bad? So, SITA has held back development. And the people most happy with the holding back of development, of course, was the comrades, the corrupt cadres within the ANC that were very happy to see systems malfunction. Now, we have many, many times explained that it's systems at the heart of our crisis when it comes to the criminal justice system. Now, if you go and get a speeding ticket, what happens? That guy writes out the ticket on a piece of paper. Right? Then he has to take it back and somebody else has to capture that on a computer. In this day and age, everything is paper-based. If you go to court, there has to be a docket that's full of papers, right? Which makes it quite easy. If that docket disappears, so does your case. So we can understand why there's been no rush by many of those state capturers to update the system, but it's been across the board in government. Now, we've seen some remarkable work done at Home Affairs by Minister Leon Schreiber. And to be fair, the people within Home Affairs knew what needed to be done. They just didn't have the backing to get the systems to get what was needed to be done. So the new minister comes in, he understands how the systems are causing so many problems, sorts out that problem, and suddenly he's a hero because he got Home Affairs backlog sorted out in 3 months when it's been behind for 30 years. And so it goes with many other departments. So the new Minister of Communication, under whom SITA operates, is also a minister from the Democratic Alliance, and that's Minister Solly Malatsi, who we've had on the State of the Nation, and a very impressive minister he is. He is now asking for the end to the SITA Act, which gives this organization the monopoly, and in actual fact lets government departments get the software that they know that they need. Now, oddly enough, because this does get very surprising, obviously the ANC were quick to think that this was a bad idea, but the Minister of Justice, Mameloko Kubai from the ANC, has actually supported Minister Malatsi in this idea of getting SITA, the SITA Act repealed. Because she sits at the heart of a system that isn't operating, because you can't go and input a case online, and if the suspect goes to another province, that somebody can look it up and arrest the person. So she has understood, and we understand that the justice system is getting a lot of heat. We've recently had, the head of the NPA, Shamila Batoy, trying to explain why they're so bad at their jobs. We've had the Hawks trying to explain why they're so bad at their jobs. And it's all because they've got this excuse that they don't have systems. So here's hoping that Minister Malatsi succeeds in his effort to shut down SITA, which is not one moment too soon. Let the departments themselves get the software that they need. They've got their own budgets. It's not something that's centrally controlled. They can run it themselves and be held accountable. And you don't have the situation where somebody who's running a department has got this built-in excuse of saying, well, our systems don't work. That's why we're not able to do our jobs. So let's hope that there's a little bit of progress happening in South Africa, and it starts with good computer systems. Let's have a toast to the death of SITA. Thank you, Minister Malatsi, and thank you for joining me on the Political Insider.